Greetings, everyone. This is Rock and Roll Spot Connection with the weekly comic book roundup. We've covered a good chunk of this week's Marvel books. Now it's time to finish them off, along with a couple other books as well. Starting things off, we've got Moon Knight number 12. Where we left off, after having rescued his therapist, Moon Knight, along with Tigra, found a mystical, made a deal with Khonshu to make a quick return to the Midnight Mission, and it was revealed that part of having the therapist imprisoned in New Jersey was so that Zodiac could attack the Midnight Mission without Moon Knight interfering. But one of Moon Knight's new allies, Soldier, upon seeing Zodiac and his gang outside the Midnight Mission, dressed up as Mr. Knight and went out to deal with everything alongside Reese. So we begin right where we left off there with Zodiac wondering just how in the hell Moon Knight's there, and realizes that it can't be him, and fires. Meanwhile, Moon Knight and Tiger are making their way through the pathway that Khonshu has given them, while being chased down by past Moon Knights, or the spirits thereof. But Zodiac's firing hit Soldier as well as Reese, though Reese is unaffected. Reese took the bullet, though it went right through her and hit Soldier. But then Moon Knight himself arrives and brings with him the army of Moon Knight spirits. He started going after the Zodiac gang. But Reese goes after Soldier, gets shot once again. It very nearly gives into her vampiric nature. But Moon Knight trying to stop her. After the spirits of the past Moon Knights have taken down all of the Zodiac gang, Hunter's Moon basically sends them all back to the realm they were in. While Mark stops Reese from killing Zodiac herself. However, as he's about to, something happens, and Stephen Grant takes over. But and introduces himself as Stephen Grant to Reese, and that is where the issue ends. Interesting. Kind of leaning a little. I feel like it's leaning a little more into the how Disney Plus handled Moon Knight's DID in the series. And to be fair, we really haven't seen much of any of the other alters over the course of the series. So should make future issues interesting. Moving on to our next books. We've got the last 2 issues of Silver Surfer Rebirth because I missed the 4th issue when it released in May, and only recently saw it, and upon being, and as number 5 came out this past week, saw number 4 on the shelf. So yeah. So Silver Surfer Rebirth number 4, where we left off, in their quest to having been shunted through reality, in their quest to find who had stolen the reality gem from Thanos. Thanos and the Silver Surfer found themselves each in different realities, and the Silver Surfer, in fact, found himself eventually facing 4 variants of himself. While Thanos ended up having to deal with Nebula. So, first thing I'm going to say, because we start off with the 4 other surfers, I love the fact that each version is based on a specific artist's rendition of the Silver Surfer, and in fact, the four artists in question are credited inspiration from the artistry of Jack Kirby, John Buscema, Mobius, and Michael Allred. The Kirby and Allred ones were obvious. I wasn't sure on who exactly it was that did the other 2. That had done the other 2, but they aren't sure if the surfer that we're following in the issue is friend or foe. They decide he's a foe, however, when he mentions being allied with Thanos. And 4-on-1, it's not the best odds for Surfer. So, but Thanos arrives, having repaired his chair, and blasts the 4 surfers. But he didn't destroy them, merely scattered them. But the throne is able to pierce and navigate myriad realities with the reality gem as their beacon. Tyrant, meanwhile, knows that Surfer and Thanos are coming back, and his mind-controlled lackey, Jack of Hearts, volunteers to try and stop them once again, though Tyrant basically says, hey, yeah, you're no match for either one of them on their own. Together, yeah, that you're. So he empowers Jack with some more of his own power, and Jack, as Thanos and the Surfer return to reality versus Code 6, Jack shows up, attacks them, and even destroys Thanos' throne. They defeat Jack of Hearts, and with Thanos killing him when Tyrant reveals himself. And the 4th issue ends with Thanos and Surfer rushing Tyrant. Now, I'm just going to move straight on to number 5 because, well, yeah. Silver Surfer Rebirth number 5. So, battle is joined between Tyrant and the combined mind of Thanos and the Silver Surfer. He utilizes the reality gem to warp them a bit, but The Surfer is able to must put forth his own willpower to regain his form. And then, but the Surfer and Thanos managed to take down Tyrant with Silver Surfer being blasted off his board by Tyrant at one point, and the board embedding itself in Tyrant's chest. Surfer picks up the reality gem and briefly, or puts it in his forehead, and sees himself on Zen La with Shalabal, his wife, and their children. But he knows that this is not how, this isn't how reality is supposed to go. And he removes the reality gem and ends it back in reality. Pulls his board out from Tyrant's chest. But before returning the gem to Thanos, he resurrects Jack of Hearts, who has no memory of what's happened. Thanos then rips Tyrant in half, explaining that if you allow an avenue for your enemies to return, they will most certainly do so. Something that the Surfer should know more than most. But the gem is returned to Thanos. However, even though he did basically rip Tyrant in half, Tyrant is still operational. And picks up later, returning to the first issue's framing device of Silver Surfer running into Genus Vel. And they're at the grave of Genus's father, Marvel. And Genus Vel questions the wisdom in letting Thanos possess the reality gem. Surfer says that as Marvel learned that Mad Titan is certainly no hero, but perhaps not a true villain either. He is unique. But he returns to seclusion, which Surfer believes is the best for the universe as a whole. His seclusion being rather similar to his sanctuary planet from Avengers Endgame. That is where the series ends. Well, well, not entirely. There's still one last page. Genus Vel decides he may go visit Earth after all, while the Surfer returns to surfing spaceways. Not a bad series. I enjoyed it. I remember when Tyrant was introduced, vaguely. I know that it happened. I've never been the biggest Surfer fan, so yeah. But yeah, in fact, I've actually even got a Clicks figure of Tyrant. But this is probably the most I've ever read with the character ever. I think I had some trading cards in the 90s of him, but yeah. So yeah. I knew the basics of him. He was an original herald, a robotic herald for Galactus. And for whatever reason, Galactus decided to deactivate him, and he reactivated himself, and yeah. Moving on to our next book, though, we've got Maestro World War M, number 4. Where we left off, Dystopia was under attack by Namor and Giganto. Also, Abomination had and Hulk had duked it out. Mainly, the main idea being Abomination just wanted Hulk to kill him. and why Namor is seeing visions of his deceased wife and child. His child being thrilled that this assault is being carried out in his memory. His wife not so much, but Namor's wife not so much, and the vision of her is pushed off of Giganto and gets crushed, seemingly crushed, and as far as Namor's concerned, crushed by Giganto. Doom is awoken to see and told what's going on by his servant Winston. That's explained that the transmat portal was destroyed, probably by Abomination, with an explosive set there shortly after to go off. Shortly after the transmat portal was used to send Abomination to Dystopia. Doom asks why it was done, and Winston explains that Doom asked him told him to accommodate the guest whenever possible. But Winston is destroyed. Jim Hammond, the Human Torch, sees to it, goes to the transmat room to repair the transmat room, as it was blown up by, apparently, Abomination. Abomination does what he can to try and save some of the citizens of Dystopia, though once he saved, try to go back to thank him, some debris falls on them, and both Hulk and Abomination attack, but Hulk throws a spear at Giganto's eye. However, as Namor's falling off of the now enraged Giganto, Abomination goes to catch him, but he gets transmatted back to Liberia. And he's not happy about that at all, and not happy with Doom. Giganto dives back into the ocean, and Maestro saves Abomination from drowning, though that was what Abomination wanted. But it turns out that Abomination made a comm device that could be used to transport himself back to Liberia, and so it's decided that he and Maestro will want to go back to Liberia to deal with Doom. And that is where the issue ends. I'm enjoying these Maestro minis. I really am. I think this is the last one that's supposed to basically kind of set the stage for what happened in the I think it was a miniseries, either a one shot or a miniseries, Future Imperfect, drawn by the late George Perez and written by Peter David. Next up, we've got Something is Killing the Children, number 24. Kind of digging these die-cut covers. Got the dragon featured this time. We get to see him without his mask. Where we left off, Erica was investigating a series of murders in Tribulation, New Mexico, while it appeared a member of another house had been summoned by the House of Slaughter to deal with Erica. So in Tribulation, a couple on vacation are arguing while their kids are in the pool. They see the creature that's killing in town as it attacks them. Elsewhere in Tribulation, But Gabby, the survivor from the beginning of the story, has returned to her home to pack some stuff up and leave. But she also takes a look at the scene, the crime scene, just wonders why things happen, and finds Erica's familiar. And picks it up. Also, the familiar tells her that why this happened is that something very, very mean was very, very angry or hungry. Erica goes to the bar that Ricky is working at, orders whiskey, tries to convince Ricky that she's a reporter. When Ricky doesn't believe her and wants to see some stories by her, Erica explains that there was a time when where she could have backed it up. One could have looked her up and found a half dozen articles by that name, but she doesn't have that backup anymore, and makes the job a lot harder. But she also and Ricky make it clear she does intend to shoot Erica if she doesn't leave. And Erica states that hey, shoot me if you want. Just know that kids are going to keep on dying. Nobody else is going to come to help. But back in Chicago, Cutter is talking with the Dragon and Cecilia about Erica. And Cutter asks who gets the lowdown on the situation. That basically, she's a really good hunter, but she's sloppy. She would risk order secrets to protect a single child, endangering the dozens that the order saves every day around the world. But Cutter asks whose fault Erica is, saying it's clearly a discipline problem, but it's explained that the one who trained Erica died many years ago. But she's trying to figure out. But at this point, they're finding evidence of Erica continuing to operate after she has solved the whatever problem. That her handler Aaron died on her last mission. But Cutter makes it clear she realizes that someone is using order resources to help Erica. Cecilia says no one in the house of Slaughter would help her. But Cutter explains she's going to need full access to every private communication between every hunter in the order. But the dragon tells Cutter that she'll get what she wants. And that is where the issue ends. This is a book that started off very interesting, and I swear, it just gets more and more interesting. Which brings us to our final book for the moment. We've got Nocterra number 11. Where we left off, Sundog Convoy had made it to where the place where Blacktop Bill and others like him had been born, and the bridge, something within the base had been had been destroyed, and the mega shades that inhabit the water around the base were now going after the base itself. The base was no longer lit up. Bill deals with the other one like him named William, and then takes M hostage, wanting the location of Eos. And Adam gives it to him. And for doing so, Bill shoots and kills him. But what Bill wants the location of Eos for is, and this is why he took M hostage, was so that M, who is still linked to Nox, could telepathically basically let the Shades know where it is. But the Shades attack the Shades assault the base. Bill's killed, and Val has a plan. Basically, to sacrifice herself to save the rest of the convoy. The complex is blown up. The convoy's trying to figure out what to do now without Val. Though it seems Bill was not killed in the Shade attack, but he has definitely he's definitely in favor of it seems to be aligning himself with Nox rather than the rest of humanity. We then get an epilogue. The base is burned to the ground, and out of the ashes rises Val, having been turned into a Shade. And that is where the issue ends. This is definitely getting interesting. Be very curious to see how the rest of the story plays out. But that is going to do it for now. As always, feel free to like, share, and subscribe. Links to my Facebook, Twitter, Patreon, and PayPal can be found in the description box down below. This is Rock and Roll Spock signing off, saying, live long and rock hard.